Hello friends, we are studying one of the biomolecule lipids. Lipids are different types. In earlier videos we studied about lipid classification, and in lipid classification we studied about we are studying about simple lipids, in simple lipids again two types as we discussed in earlier video: fats and oils. Next one, waxes. In this video we will study about fats. In earlier videos we already studied about fat, different types of fats, saturated fatty acids, unsaturated fatty acids. We will study today about some of most important unsaturated fatty acids and which are affecting human physiology. Fatty acids. Fatty acids two types. Fatty acids are two types based on saturation versus unsaturation. We'll study about unsaturated fatty acids. Fatty acids. This saturation and unsaturation is due to presence of double bonds in the aliphatic chain of fatty acid. If double bonds are present in fatty acid chain of aliphatic chain of fatty acid, then it is called unsaturated fatty acid. If no double bonds are there in aliphatic chain of fatty acid, that is called saturation fatty acids. Some of important unsaturated fatty acids which are playing major role in cardiovascular or heart diseases, heart attacks, and how these are how these unsaturated fatty acids are useful in fatty acids are useful in controlling cardiovascular problems and brain development. Some other physiologically important functions and cell to cell interactions cell membrane maintenance etc. Unsaturated fatty acids. Unsaturated fatty acids, as double bonds are present in the aliphatic chain of fatty acids, these fatty acids are all called unsaturated fatty acids. These unsaturated fatty acids are again two types based on double bonds orientation. Cis unsaturated fatty acid, trans unsaturated fatty acids. Cis unsaturated fatty acids and trans unsaturated fatty acids. These fatty acids are actually called as, based on the number of double bonds, these fatty acids are called polyunsaturated fatty acids. Polyunsaturated fatty acids. As there are more than two double bonds in the fatty acids, these fatty acids are called polyunsaturated fatty acids. These polyunsaturated fatty acids are again omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid, omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acids. These omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acids have some important dietary features. This omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid is essential requirement in diet. Example for omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid is alpha linolenic acid. Alpha linolenic acid 18:3. 18 the carbon number and 3 is the number of double bonds present in the polyunsaturated fatty acid. The enzymes to synthesize this alpha ALA, it is also called ALA. The enzymes to synthesize this alpha linolenic acid is absent in the body. Are not present in the body. This is essential because This alpha linolenic acid, this is one of omega 3 poly unsaturated fatty acid. It has 18 number of carbon atoms and 3 number of double bonds. This is essential fatty acid present in leafy vegetables, and fish oils. And this is the precursor for Eicosa pentanoic acid 20:5, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, and other, and also for Doucosa EPA. This is also called EPA. Doucosa hexanoic acid. The number of carbon atoms is 22 and the number of double bonds is 6. Del omega, the double bonds is 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19. This is also called DHA. This Doucosa hexanoic acid is used for prevention of blood clots, in arteries and veins. Hence, doctors usually prescribe for cardiovascular diseases, cardiovascular problems. This DHA components of medicine. This omega 3 poly unsaturated fatty acid and omega 6 poly unsaturated fatty acid imbalance in dietary food leads to cardiovascular problems. Imbalance leads to cardiovascular problems. Associated problems. Hence, the requirement of omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid and omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acids is very essential to control cardiovascular associated problems. As well, the food of Mediterranean peoples is more content in leafy vegetables and fish oils. The ratio to this is important for cardiovascular associated problems. The ratio to the omega 3 and omega 6 is 1:1 to 4:1 is allowed to control cardiovascular associated problems, and this ratio is oftenly maintained by Mediterranean peoples. This is omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid to 4:1 omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acid, omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid, omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acid. The ratio of omega 6 and omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid 10:1 to 30:1 leads to cardiovascular associated problems. This is omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid to omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acid. This is also omega 3 polyunsaturated fatty acid to omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acid. Some of the physical properties of will study some of the physical properties of fatty acids. Melting physical properties of fatty acids. Of fatty acids. Melting point, boiling point, boiling point, porosity, and reactions with NaOH to form soaps will continue in upcoming video. Thank you.